Good morning, everyone. My name is Fan Yang, and I'm the Marketing PR Assistant Director of William Stephanie Foundation. We sincerely appreciate you for joining the California COVID-19 rent relief webinar today. Firstly, for those audiences who need language interpretation, please follow the instructions on the screen. Please note that only Vietnamese, Thai, and Chinese interpretation are available at this time. Please stay on the English channel if you don't need interpretation. Please allow me to introduce our MC for today, Mr. Daniel Sieu. Mr. Sieu has worked directly and indirectly with MBDA since 1997. He has spent the past few years building relations with the consulates and the communities of the ASEAN countries, which is Association of Southeast Asian Nations, as part of his long-term strategy of building overseas relations, identifying overseas development opportunities, and bringing minority contractors as participants. Mr. Sieu is currently the president of WS International Group, Inc., a community development organization formed to assist businesses of all sizes to grow their business, create jobs, and add to our nation's economy. Currently, his team is reaching out to ASEAN countries to assist their business owners in becoming familiar with applying for government assistance programs from the federal and state government. Let's welcome Daniel for speaking.
Thank you, Fan Yang, and welcome everyone to our program today. We have a great lineup of speakers for you today, and we wanted to bring this information to you as quickly as possible, so we apologize for the short notice. But as you know, those of you who have been following us through the pandemic know that if you're late in learning about a program or applying about a program, then many of the programs run out of money. And we don't want to be late in helping you get your applications in, or we'll have the same situation again. So rather than wait and present this next week, we decided to go ahead and do it this week just because there's such a time crunch in getting applications in. We've been working with State Treasurer Fiona Ma, as you all know, throughout the pandemic, and she's been grateful enough to share her knowledge and resources with us and introduce us to these great speakers who you'll hear from today. So just so you know, we have 3 speakers along with the State Treasurer. First speaker will be speaking about the landlord-tenant funding program by the state of California. Our second speaker speaking about state workforce program, and our third speaker about new state and federal funding programs for small businesses. So in that, I'd like to introduce our first speaker of the day. Her name is Lynn von Koch, and Lynn is the Deputy Secretary of Housing and Consumer Services at the California State Consumer Services and Housing Agency. She's also had multiple positions at the United Nations Office of Project Services in Afghanistan, South Sudan, and Jerusalem. So Lynn will be speaking about the state of California's landlord-tenant program. So we appreciate her being here today. And I'll turn the floor over to you, Lynn. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for the warm welcome and introduction, and Treasurer Ma for inviting me to join you today. Let me see if I can please share my, was it possible, Ben, if I could share my screen, please?
Let me make that real quick.
Thank you.
Are you able to share your screen now?
Does not look like I am.
Okay, you should be able to share screen now.
Thank you. Are you able to see the slideshow? Okay. So thank you for inviting me to join you today. Our agency, the Business Consumer Services and Housing Agency, works closely with the Department of Housing and Community Development, who's responsible for implementing the California COVID-19 rent relief program. So this program provides financial assistance for landlords and income eligible tenants who have been impacted by COVID-19 and have unpaid or expected to be unpaid rent and utilities. The focus of the program is really on ensuring that impacted households are able to stay within their household, as well as making landlords whole throughout the whole pandemic period, which started in March of 2020. It's very important to remember for this program that applicants are able to qualify regardless of their immigration status. And never in this process will an applicant be asked to provide any proof of immigration or citizenship. It's also important to remember that the assistance does not count as earned income for the renters, and that it will not affect the eligibility for other state benefit assistance programs. Finally, I do really want to mention that all the information is kept private, and that the way the programs are set up is that information is not shared between landlords and tenants. It's all kept secure within the state and local systems. So just very quickly, the requirements. So both renters and landlords are encouraged to apply and can initiate an application. The renters, to be eligible, need to demonstrate that they have been impacted by COVID-19, and that can be demonstrated through a number
ผลกระทบจากโควิด -19 นะคะแล้วก็มีรายได้อยู่ในระดับที่กำหนดไว้ซึ่งทางรัฐจะกำหนดยังกำหนดอยู่นะคะว่าเท่าไหร่แล้วก็มีค่าเช่าแล้วก็ค่า
Then it sounds like I'm hearing the translation. Is there a way to set that so that it?
Yeah, please go ahead. I disabled the translation in the main channel. Please go ahead.
Thank you. So impacted by COVID-19 can be defined in many different ways, and that is in terms of loss of income, unemployment, but also say, for instance, you have childcare responsibilities or unexpected costs due to COVID. All of those are demonstrated impact of COVID. The real criteria for participation is around your income eligibility, and there are calculators within the application that help an applicant determine if they are eligible. And it does, the eligibility also is around unpaid rent or utilities, or the need for help with future rent or utilities. For landlords, the participation in the program really does look to the tenant for eligibility. So if you have a renter who is behind on rent or needing help with future rent, and then that renter is income eligible, then you are likely eligible for the program. It's also important to note that that the renter must sign the application, so the landlord can submit it, but it does require tenant participation to be able to complete the application. We had some changes in the program in the last month. Assembly Bill 832 was signed that made some very significant changes in response to a lot of feedback that we've been receiving from local partners, jurisdictions, and applicants in the program. So the first most important thing is that now the program is covering 100% of unpaid rent, future rent, and utilities. So if you had already applied and been paid your rental assistance, the programs have gone through and increased that to 100% so that you have the full compensation. Also, the federal government provided an additional round of funding into this program. So now for California, there's a total of $5.2 billion that's available for rental assistance and utility support. And finally, the eviction protections were extended, and those now carry through to September 30th, 2021. We at the program level have made significant improvements in the process as well. We simplified the application significantly and now anticipate that it takes about 30 minutes to 1 hour to complete the application. And we simplified the documentations to be uploaded, and we provided a number of helpful tips and user experience enhancements to make the process smoother and easier. We also updated the website. We have simplified and streamlined We make sure that you get directed very, very quickly to the application process itself. And we also translated the website in language translations into 6 of California's most frequently spoken languages. Google Translate is still available for languages beyond those 6, but we do have professional translation for all the websites for 6 languages. To start and really find out where you're being served, we have built an address check feature within the website and the application. Because there are state and local programs that are running concurrently, all you have to do is use this link, and we'll make sure to drop that into the chat and share this with the PowerPoint. But there's a link that takes you through the eligibility quiz, and then also gives you the direct access to the application that is serving your location. So that might be the state program through Housing is Key, or it might be a number of city or county programs that are running their rental assistance program locally. We really designed this to be a no wrong door system, so that wherever you come in on Housing is Key, you get redirected to the right place and make sure that you're putting your application in the place where your address is being served. In terms of who can apply, as I mentioned earlier, it's landlords and tenants may both apply. And within the state system, depending on where the application starts, it gets linked based off of either a 5-digit ID that's created for the tenant, or by doing an address check behind the scenes. Then once those applications are in the system, we have a case management team that works with landlords and tenants to complete the application, with the goal of making sure that everybody has the support that they need to complete the application. If the application is completed and signed by both parties, then it is complete. If there is a non-participatory landlord, but the tenant has applied, then also the application is considered complete. However, if a landlord submits, but a tenant does not apply as well, then it's an incomplete application. We're unable to make a payment directly to that landlord. We have a number of different pathways to submit an application and receive assistance. The first is you can go to housingisttkey.com and directly enter an application into the online portal. The second is you can call the call center at 833-430-2122 and be able to have support in a language of your choice through the call center. And then third is if you need additional in-person assistance, if you need somebody to come to your house, or if you want to go to a local partner site, you can make an appointment through the local partner network appointment center. And that's 833-687-0967. The local partners are located all around the state in the areas where the state program is operating. And we have 119 partners offering 13 different languages and providing in-service support, phone support, text messaging support to be able to help everybody submit an application. What to expect within the application. When you go through the housingisttkey.com website, you'll get referenced to the Neighborly software solution. To begin, you register. You can choose the language that you would like to do your application in, and that will save that language for you for the rest of the time that you're working within the application. It is important to note that to register, you do need an email address. If you don't have an email address, you can call a call center number and start an application that way. And finally, here's just a summary of all the resources that are available, as we've designed this to be a process where there should be no required, we built in the support system into the program so that nobody should be required to pay somebody to help them complete the application or need any additional assistance outside of what the program is providing. So we have a call center with general questions, the local partner networks to provide in-person support, case managers to work with landlords and tenants to complete the application, and then also that applicants can add designees to help them complete the application on their behalf. So with that, I believe that is the end of my presentation. And once again, thank you so much for inviting me to come and provide this overview of this important program. Thank you.
Thank you, Lynn. Fan Yang, can you send the questions? Lynn?
Yeah, we have some questions from the listeners. Okay, so the first question is, what is the link to the new website.
Housing, I'll
can,
drop it in the chat.
Thank you.
Housingiskey.com, and I'll put that into the chat.
Also, so another question is, hi, Lynn, is there any assistance in the horizon for small business owners who are behind on their rent for their business due to pandemic closure, specifically for restaurant owners, which I'm one of them?
So for the rental assistance program that I just briefed, it is really focused on landlord-tenant relationships. We do have a mortgage assistance program through the California Housing Finance Agency that is getting ready to turn on. But I believe, is it Bianca that will be speaking about business loans in just the coming section?
Okay, let me put the website link in the chat box to all attendees. Housingiskey.com.
And just to clarify, so this is for residential, not commercial, correct?
That is correct. This is a residential program.
Okay. Do we have any further questions?
Yeah, we have a few quick questions. Another question is, I applied for RRF, but never heard back from SBA on my application. Is there an update, or should the applicant expect an update in approximate, can you clarify the timeline?
If I'm understanding that question correctly, it's saying that that application was submitted to the Small Business Administration.
Yes, that's correct.
So that's
RF.
Oh,
yes. So yes, I believe that is a different program. So I don't have the information to answer that question.
Fine, Yang, just so you know, our contacts within SBA basically told us they ran out of money. Unless it's refunded, then I don't see anything happening. If anyone was approved, and they haven't got funded, maybe we can help and find out what's going on with that. If someone can just send us an email with their contact information, then we can help follow up in that regard.
Thank you so much. So the next question, I've paid some past rent on credit card and now expect some unpaid future rent. Do you recommend I pay with credit card again, or should I leave my rent unpaid until my application is reviewed? If I leave it unpaid, do you have any recommended messages I can send to my landlord to let them know I'm applying for this assistance? Thank you.
Thank you, and Cameron. Yes. So the challenge with the rent relief program is that the eligible expenses are to the landlord, not to a credit card or other financial mechanism. So what I would recommend is that you submit an application today. Start your application now, both for rent that may be due from the past, as well as for prospective rent. Make sure that you include all of your information right now so that we can work to get that application paid for you as quickly as possible. What I would recommend you do for your landlord is go to Housing is Key, and there's a declaration of financial impact. Print that out and email it or deliver it to your landlord. There also is a letter on housingiskey.com that explains to your landlord that you have that you are applying for the program, and asks them to apply as well. If they do that, that will speed up your processing time so that we can get you through the application as quickly as possible.
Thank you so much. Due to time limit, let's move forward to the next speakers. So for all those unsolved questions, please contact us after this meeting and we will be glad to help. Okay, let me share screen again. Hi, Dan, please go ahead.
Okay. Our next speaker is Dr. Angelo Farooq, who is appointed by the governor to chair the California Workforce Development Board. What they basically do is help people get back into the workplace. Mr. Farooq has his big challenge in doing this under the current circumstances. He's also elected to the Board of Education for Riverside Unified School District in 2015. He's also appointed to the co-chair of California Treasurer Fiona Ma's Housing and Economic Development Advisory Council. So we're very happy to have him to be able to share this information with us today. And in that, Dr. Farooq, please take the stage.
Thank you so much, Daniel. I appreciate inviting me to this great webinar, and appreciate your leadership with the William Stephanie Foundation on these critical issues. And I want to give a special gratitude to our great state treasurer, Fiona Ma, for hosting me. I'm actually in their conference room right now in Sacramento. So thank you. If we could go to the next slide, please. So just to give an introduction first of what the state workforce system is, these positions are established by Congress. Our federal workforce system is primarily done through the U.S. Department of Labor. And each state has primarily through private sector leadership, governance structure to oversee how these funds are utilized and that they are meeting the skills gap that exist in our economy. So in terms of what the employer's needs are, in terms of labor and workers, and where the skill level that workers are at. And so California, by virtue of the size of our population, we're the largest system in the country. It's a $6 billion system. And in a normal year, we serve about 1.5 million people. I'm sure that number is much higher right now. We exercise a lot of local control. So although the funds do come from the federal government and through the state, we try to have about 80% of funds go at the local level, which is typically at the county board of supervisors. They appoint local people, and then, or in some instances like Los Angeles that are large cities, they have them at the local level as well. We have over 200 America Job Centers throughout California. These job centers are, we like to think of them as one-stop shop, where whether you're an employer or you're someone, a job seeker, you can get access to all the different types of resources and information that you need in one destination. The board itself is all appointed by the governor, except we have 4 legislators that are appointed by the respective leadership of their chambers. And again, we advise the governor and the legislature on workforce policy. Next slide, please. So we know that the pandemic has presented a lot of extraordinary circumstances and challenges, and they require very strategic responses. And so, you know, one of the biggest concerns, I think, about just the workforce system in general is that we don't want to have a situation where all we are doing is just placing low-skilled workers back into low-skilled jobs, and it's just a perpetual cycle. The importance of job training, the development part of workforce, so that people can have pathways into better opportunities is really an important part of the values of Governor Newsom's administration and the work that we're doing. And so we know that there's been a lot of women primarily that have actually left the workforce for a variety of factors, whether it's childcare or what the challenges that happen with the school system and a variety of other issues. But that's why these issues are very important. We try to focus as a workforce system on regional economies. And again, that's where those local workforce boards play an important role in these efforts. Our goal is to have a very cohesive system where industry, business owners and business leaders are able to express their needs to the system and for our system to help facilitate support, whether again it's job training or placement, recruitment opportunities. We also feel that as a hedge to all of the different economic cycles, that to create better resiliency is again through job training and workforce development. So that whether it's the effects of automation or to me, automation is a much bigger issue than outsourcing, but if you want to say outsourcing as well, we feel that that is what makes our workforce more competitive is by investing in job training and career pathways. If we could go to the next slide, please. So in terms of where you can go to tap into this system, I hate to say it's oftentimes considered kind of the best kept secret. A lot of business owners and chambers, when I speak to members, sometimes many of them didn't even know that these resources existed. And these are at no cost to whether it's job seekers or employers. And so we definitely need to get the word out more. One website you can go to get at the local level. Again, it's very important that everything is really done in terms of coordination at the county or, like I said, large city level. If you go to career-onestop.org, you can get connected with the contact information with your local job center. And so for job seekers, the training resources are an important component. One of the exciting programs for our businesses is we call it on-the-job training. So that can actually provide up to 50% of wages for up to 6 months to help offset some of those costs associated with training new hires. And so it's based on availability of funds, and we try to prioritize jobs that have pathways and have the quality job component to it. But those are resources out there, and again, they're administered at the local level. We can be partners with businesses in convening job fairs, providing help with resume screenings. We have access to a lot of data that can help inform business decisions. One of our areas that we've actually been very active in, unfortunately, during the pandemic is rapid response. So when there's a notice is being put out that there's going to be a significant amount of layoffs occurring, we can work with those businesses to help transition those employees to better opportunities. And so I have a link also up there about our workforce development high road training partnerships. We've really been very sector oriented, and especially during this pandemic. So when one group of workers are being disproportionately impacted with whether it's some of these shutdowns or different regulatory practices, about how we can immediately start reskilling and applying skill sets from one type of occupation to another, where there's opportunities of that nature. And so we've been investing in sector strategies based on different industries. And again, you can go to the link to get more details up and down the state. So it's regional and it's sector oriented. So next slide, please. So in terms of, just kind of to close it out, we really recommend that this high road vision, and when I say high road, I'm talking about job quality, I'm talking about worker voice, I'm talking about environmental sustainability. We really hope that there's the greater alignment there is between the state, the governor's vision at the local county and city level. This can help accelerate more investments and synergies among local and state fund and federal funds. We can also, as a state workforce board, we work hand in hand with our counterparts at GoBiz, Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, to help attract industry investment to regions. So consider whether it's your local workforce system or if they're larger economic development strategies for our state board, to be part of your team. For those of you that are economic development background or county or city officials, we can be an important asset to that. We have our main two areas on terms of our high road training investments. These are the discretionary funds from the governor and our state workforce board that we provide. We focused one on construction careers, which is in partnership with our building trades statewide and regionally. It's all focused around apprenticeships on transportation, infrastructure related jobs. And then the high road training partnerships run the gamut, whether it's healthcare, hospitality, a variety of different sectors. And again, they're regional in nature. And the link I had shared before is the example of that. Next slide, please. So just to recap again, visit the career-onestop.org if you want to get connected with your local job center. if you want to learn about the investments our state workforce system is doing, that CWDB link can provide you details about those investments that we're making. And then I also encourage you, to collaborate with the William Stephanie Foundation. We are happy to, as you guys have questions or the areas that we can be helpful, you can follow up through them or your local one-stop center. So that concludes my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing. I see some questions in the chat box. So the first question is, will presentation slides be provided? Sure, we will be glad to provide the presentation slides after the meeting. If you would us to get the presentation slides, please shoot us an email and we will send you the copy of the presentation slides. And the second question is, can you put the High Road link in the chat, please? I'm very interested. Dr. Farooq, could you put the High Road link in the chat box so that everyone can see it?
Sure. I'll do it in a moment, just because I'm not I'm on location at the treasurer's office, so I need a little moment to organize that. But I'll text that at the conclusion of my remarks. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. So due to time limit, let's move forward to the next speakers.
Okay, our next speaker is Bianca Blomquist, Senior Manager at Small Business Majority, where her responsibilities include policy and legislative efforts throughout California and managing outreach in Northern Cal. Small Business Majority is a national small business advocacy organization based in San Francisco, with offices in Washington, D.C., Sacramento, Chicago, Denver, Los Angeles, and Atlanta. Before coming to Small Business Majority, Bianca served as a legislative aide on Capitol Hill during the passage of the Dodd-Frank Wall Street Reform Act of ACA. Many of you may remember that was some major significant legislation back 10 plus years ago. But nonetheless, she's had many experience on the federal side. She also was member of the U.S. House Finance Service Committee and first Muslim ever elected to Congress. Today, Bianca is speaking to us about upcoming financial opportunities, both on the state and federal side for small businesses. So please welcome Bianca Blomquist.
Thanks so much, Daniel. I really appreciate it. If it's all right with you, I'd like to share my screen, just because in the interest of time and to address some of the folks' questions, I'm going to skip through a pretty big chunk of my presentation. This way I can make sure that everyone's questions are addressed. Can everyone see my screen? Fan,
yes.
Can you see my
yes.
screen?
Yep.
Yep, we can see your screen.
Great, thank you. So a couple of items that are not in this presentation that I want to address from the chat box. An individual expressed questions about the Restaurant Revitalization Fund through the Small Business Administration. That's correct. That fund is currently out of money. However, there are efforts. Kristen Sinema from Arizona has put forth a bill in the Senate to provide $60 billion more into the Restaurant Revitalization Fund. That bill is S2091, I think. I thought I had it written down, but I don't. That has bipartisan support. However, we're not sure, and we have not yet heard that will be in the in the reconciliation package that's currently underway. So there are efforts to refund that program, but if folks are interested in getting involved, pick up your phone and call your representatives in Congress, including your senator. So as Treasurer Ma outlined, we do have hot off the press information, which is part of the reason why I'm going to be speaking more quickly than usual today. My organization is a nonprofit. We are an advocacy organization. We advocate for small business owners in California and throughout the country. Most of the business owners in our network are micro business owners. This means that they have less than 10 employees, oftentimes less than 5. In fact, 2/3 of our network are women, 2/3 of business owners in our network of business owners of color, and we have many business owners in our network who are self-employed. So top line takeaways from the federal side. The small business, it's called the State Small Business Credit Initiative, is a federal program that was refunded as part of the American Rescue Package. It provides $10 billion across the country for the US Treasury to give to states to allow states to invest in more small business lending. We don't have information yet on when these funds will be made available to states. We are expecting guidance to be released very soon, any minute now, actually. But what this means for you as a small business owner is there are going to be many programs throughout California for you to participate to access long-term recovery loans. So if you're having a hard time finding financing for those long-term recovery needs, there is more help on the way to California. And as we'll be discussing over the next few minutes, there is more going on in California now than there has ever been for small businesses. There is a federal paid leave tax credit if you have employees that have taken time off to get vaccinated or have become ill or have needed to take care of some of their family members. There are tax credits available to you. I'll pop in, if Fan, if you wouldn't mind putting my email in the chat box, or I'll pop it in there as well. Folks can shoot me an email to figure out how to participate and take advantage of those tax credits. This is how you calculate it. It's for an employee that needs to take time off because they're sick because of COVID. You can get reimbursed at a 1-to-1 ratio. This means 100% of their wages are reimbursed to you. If they need to take time off to care for a family member, it is reimbursed at 2/3 of the wages. So it doesn't quite make you whole, but it's still there for you if you need it. Okay, big news when it comes to California. As folks know, the governor signed the California Comeback Plan, which is a big piece of the budget that folks have been negotiating over the past number of months. The California Comeback Plan contains $100 billion for small business recovery and economic development initiatives. Most importantly to us and many of the folks on the call is the California Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program. This is the very popular grant program that has been ended for some months now. The governor just signed into law an additional $1.5 billion for this program. This means that between now and the end of the year, $1.5 billion will be put back into that program to do a couple things. First, that those funds will be used to provide awards to folks who have already applied into the the Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program. 2, those funds will be used to give to nonprofit cultural institutions. And 3, those funds will be used to provide new grants to small business owners that have not yet applied. So those 3 groups, folks who have applied and have not yet been funded, nonprofit cultural institutions, and new small business owners who have not yet applied. These funds will be delivered to small business owners and nonprofits over 3 rounds. And as of yesterday, we have new information about when these rounds are to take place. We'll be providing these slides to folks after the webinar, so no need to scramble as the programs are not yet open. But these are the dates for when they'll open. So the first of the final 3 rounds, round 7, will be open to small business owners who have already applied for the Small Business COVID-19 Rental Relief Grant Program. This means that business owners who've applied in rounds previous and are currently waitlisted will be considered first. The grant awards are the same tiers as before, between $5,000 and $25,000, and no strings attached. Grant funds will be delivered to small business owners that are awarded a grant. Again, remember, the first of the 3 rounds, round 7, is available only to those who have already applied. The second round is for nonprofit cultural institutions. This one is a little more complicated. Small business majority doesn't advocate for nonprofits per se, but I'm happy to explain in more detail to folks who have questions. Otherwise, any of the panelists on this call are willing to help and walk folks through the ins and outs of this language. But the second of the 3 rounds, round 8, again, is for nonprofit cultural organizations only, nonprofits. You must complete a new application even if you've already applied. To be honest with you, I'm not quite sure why. I haven't found that out yet, but we do know that you will need to submit a new application if you have not yet applied for any round except round 4. If you applied as a nonprofit in round 4, you do not need to reapply. Again, I'm not totally sure why, but that is the language that's been given to us. Same grant award tiered system, $5,000 to $25,000 available for this round. And these grants will be prioritized based on the percentage of revenue declines. So if you're a nonprofit that's actually done pretty well during the pandemic, this is not going to be a grant for you. These grants are for nonprofits that have faced pretty significant revenue reductions. And they figure that out by comparing quarters between 2020 and 2019. Okay, the very last round of the Small Business COVID-19 Relief Grant Program is available to both new business owners who've not yet applied, as well as business owners who are currently waitlisted. So if you're tuning in today and you haven't yet applied for the Small Business COVID-19 Rent Relief Program, this slide is for you. The window of opportunity to apply, if you haven't yet applied and you are a small business owner, is Thursday, September 9th through Thursday, September 30th. If you are waitlisted and you feel at this point, when it becomes September 9th and you haven't yet been funded, not to despair, they will also be processing applications that are already in their portal. The grant system for this round is exactly the same as the other 2. Between $5,000 and $25,000 will be awarded. And if you've already applied to the program and you've been selected to move forward, you do not need to reapply. Your application may be processed in the 3rd and final round. So I hope that's been clear. Does it make sense, Fan, for me to pause for a moment if folks have any questions, or should I jump right into well, let's just run through the next really quick. The next few programs are not yet open, but they will be opening soon. So just have these on your radar. Again, the next programs are not yet open, but they will be opening soon. And they include the Independent Venues Grant Program through the state of California. This is different from the federal program, Shuttered Venue Operators Grant run through SBA. This is through California and is not yet open, but it's something to keep on your radar. Additionally, there will be a Dream Fund program for new entrepreneurs. This will provide grants of up to $10,000 for new entrepreneurs. This program is not yet open. And for long-term capital, if folks are interested, there is the California Rebuilding Fund, which is a statewide program. Any California small business owner that's established, that's experienced some kind of revenue declines, can apply for a long-term lending loan like the California Rebuilding Fund. This is not a grant, this is a loan, but it is similar to the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program. And Daniel, you were correct. I saw you had responded to someone's question. The Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program is still open. You can apply to that by going to COVID-19relief.sba.gov. That has a slightly lower interest rate than the California Rebuilding Fund, but both the California Rebuilding Fund and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan Program are loans. They will need to be repaid. However, those terms are very favorable to folks. There are a number of tax credits that will be reauthorized again this year. The Main Street tax credit for folks who hire new employees, the California Competes tax credit, although California Competes tax credit is not as popular among the smallest businesses in our network. And the state is still determining what to do about unemployment insurance in the next few months. I'm going to skip the microbusiness COVID-19 relief grant program because that is not yet open, but there is another program underway that will be similar to the small business COVID-19 relief grant, but this one is available to very, very small business owners, those who make like $50,000 and less. Whereas the small business COVID-19 relief grant program, the one which will open in about a month, that is available for folks that have revenue of $2.5 million or less. So just something to keep in mind. Top line takeaways, the small business COVID-19 relief grant program will open again in just a few weeks. So.
Great, thank you, Bianca. That was some really great information. We will disseminate that for those of you who would like to track those different programs. And further information comes out to us, we will forward that on as well. It's good to find out sooner rather than later the criteria so you can get your paperwork in order, and whatever is deficient, you have a little time to work on it. But thank you so much. It's information that it would be hard for any of us to pull together all those different loan programs and follow all that. So next, and our final speaker is State Treasurer Fiona Ma, who's been instrumental in a lot of these webinars throughout the pandemic. So State Treasurer Ma is California's 34th State Treasurer, elected as the first woman of color to this position. Since becoming involved in public service, Treasurer Ma has held her steady conviction serving the people of California. And we know personally by her dedication and devotion to the community that all of our best interest is at heart. So please welcome State Treasurer Fiona Ma.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Daniel and Lynn and the William Stephanie Foundation for putting on this very informative seminar here today. I've taken extensive notes because these are also new programs and information to me and my team as we continue to educate and raise awareness for all of these resources that are coming, especially in this last budget that Governor Gavin Newsom signed. There is a lot more funding and resources, and we just thank you all for being here today. I'm going to talk about three programs. Two are under my office, and another is a private-public partnership that we participate in at the state. The first one is Cal Savers. It is a relatively new program. If you are a small business employing more than 5 employees or more and do not offer a retirement savings account, then you will eventually have to upload your employee roster to our Cal Savers website. And after you do that, you will have no further legal or financial obligations. These accounts will be managed by my Cal Savers investment team, and these accounts will stay with the employer. It's similar to a Roth IRA account where we are really encouraging more people to save for their retirement. We estimate there are 7 to 8 million workers here in California that do not have a workplace savings plan. And so this is California's solution to helping and assisting folks save for their retirement. We are the first state in the nation to create this program, and there are 10 other states that are in the process of creating similar retirement savings for their employees. So if you employ more than 100 employees, your deadline was September 30th, 2020. So we encourage you to reach out to us if you have 100 or more employees that do not have a retirement savings account. Please reach out as soon as possible because your deadline has passed. Then the next one, June 30th of this year, so just last month, was the deadline for those that employ more than 50 employees. So if you employ more than 50 employees and do not offer retirement savings plan, your deadline was June 30th of 2021. And the next deadline is next June of 2022 for anyone who employs over 5 employees. So these are some of the smaller businesses that are probably on this website here today. But don't worry, we have a lot of assistance available both online and through our publications. So if you call our phone number, 855-650-6916 for employers. I will put that in the chat later on. We have 34 languages that can assist you if you are either an employer or an employee. We also have print and web materials in 10 different languages, including Chinese, Filipino, Vietnamese, Korean, Japanese, Punjabi, Russian, Armenian, Spanish, and English. We also have a field team who is multilingual. They speak English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Cantonese. And we also offer webinars, free public webinars, 3 to 5 times per week in English, Spanish, Mandarin, and Cantonese. Our website is www.talsavers.com. And again, we have many people who can help you. So please reach out to us either by phone or by email and register your employees today, even if it's before the deadline. Get it done, then you can have peace of mind moving forward. I also want to talk about some small business loans that are available under my treasurer's office under the CalCap for Small Business, and also small business loans under the iBank. And these loan programs are considered loans of last resort. So if you are having problems accessing capital with the traditional financial institutions, please look to us. These participating lenders are guaranteed payments, and therefore they are more eager to loan to those who may have less credit availability or other financial issues in the past. So again, CalCap for Small Business or the Small Business Loan Guarantee Program under the iBank, and I will put that in the email. And then our last is a public-private partnership between government and the private sector, onwardca.org. And it provides a number of different resources, training, and also available jobs for those Californians who were impacted by COVID-19. So I know there was a question in the chat for someone who lost their job, may not be able to find a job. Perhaps you should go to www.onwardca.org. So thank you all very much for all being here. We hope this has been helpful to all of you. And again, thank you to the William and Stephanie Foundation for facilitating this Zoom webinar.
Thank you, State Treasurer Ma. Do we have any questions for the State Treasurer?
No, I don't have questions specifically for State Treasurer. Do we need to move forward to the next part?
On the screen, you can see our different community partners. If you have questions or need assistance please reach out to them, and we can work with them alongside with them to help you directly or provide answers or even research. For example, if you have an application in somewhere and don't know the status, which is often the case, please reach out. Perhaps we can help in that manner as well. We'd also like to thank our interpreters today. We're interpreting in Thai, Vietnamese, and Mandarin. Our Thai interpreter is Supra Chowchevich, Vietnamese Sunny Nguyen, and Mandarin Frank Wei. So we hope you all, if you want to hear a word of upcoming news or events or future webinars, please either email to us your information or our community partners so we can get you on our future guest list. And then we can all work through this pandemic together. So in that, I'd like to thank all of our speakers and listeners, and good luck, and hope you have a great weekend, and I hope you have a speedy recovery through this pandemic. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you so much for joining with us today. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, WS International Group, if you want to get more firsthand information. If you have any questions about this webinar, please contact info@williamstephaniefoundation.org. Thank you and have a nice weekend. Bye.